Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the South Florida Tribune Broadcasting Network. We are live with Bill Winters, and we get ready for another episode of Wild Bill Winters and Motormouth, or vice versa. Who the heck cares? Anyways, Merry Christmas, Bill.
Merry Christmas, Scott. Lewis, how you guys doing tonight?
We're doing good. Just recovering from a weekend of excess carbohydrates and family.
Yeah, the holidays don't do the calories any justice as I go in and out of one press box after another with plenty more coming up over the next few weeks. Bill, I'll tell you. This is Lewis' first rodeo on our show together, so we're bringing our pup here in with a baseball program with you.
Let's see if I could stay on the horse and don't get thrown off before it ends. So
we'll see. I'm sure this show will be fun.
Oh yeah. We're bringing in Lewis. He's going to be exposed to a lot of different things in 2020. So all right. With that said, let's get it rolling. Well, Bill, you're going to talk about a sport that we don't talk about a whole lot, and you're going to provide a unique dimension of it. And we're going to be talking some senior professional baseball, aren't we, Bill?
Yes, we are. This is interesting. There was a legendary player in Major League Baseball who, this is the 50th year of a guy by the name of Curt Flood, who used to play for the St. Louis Cardinals. Anybody knows anything about Major League Baseball and the St. Louis Cardinals knows who Curt Flood is. He's a household name. He became one of the pivotal figures in sports labor history when he refused to accept a trade following the 1969 season where the Cardinals wanted to trade him to the Philadelphia Phillies. And all he wanted was a pay raise. And he was one of the best players in the league. So ultimately, this case went to the U.S. Supreme Court. And even though his legal challenge was unsuccessful, it brought a lot of solidarity amongst players as they fought against baseball's reserve clause and sought free agency. So this guy was sacrificed going up against the powers that be and deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. And, what started our conversation today was that, Marvin Miller, who was the executive director of the Major League Players Association, finally got inducted. And we think it's time that Curt get inducted as well, because he literally sat out the 1970 season. He's been punished. He got hate mail and everything else because he bucked the trend. But if it wasn't for Curt standing up, we wouldn't even have free agency. So we think it's time that he got his just due and got inducted into the Hall of Fame in Major League Baseball.
All right, Lewis has got something he wants to ask you in a moment. Go ahead.
Now, I met Curt in 1989. And this was really kind of funny. I had just retired from the USFL, and let's put it this way, the USFL retired me. I still had a couple of years left in me because Donald Trump tried to force a merger with the United States Football League and the National Football League by having the largest antitrust case in our nation's history. And even though we won the case, the award was only $1, so the USFL suspended league operations because it would have taken a long time to get back in the court in appeals. And so the younger players like Jimmy Kelly, Steve Young, Herschel Walker, they went into the NFL, and some of us older studs were put out into pasture even though we had a couple years left in us. So I find it highly ironic that I'm laying in bed with my girlfriend after all the dust cleared in 1989 in the prime of my life in tremendous shape. And here comes a league called the Senior Professional Baseball League that was sponsored by ESPN. And ESPN was looking for programming. And they'd had the senior golf tournament, senior golf league, which was, a huge success. So there were some businessmen who decided to create the Senior Professional Baseball League. And the Senior Professional Baseball League was consisted of, you had to be 35 years or older, you had to have played in the major leagues, and except if you were a catcher, you could be 32 years of age. So they basically started a league in 1989, and the teams were the St. Petersburg Pelicans, that were managed by Doc Ellis from the Pittsburgh Pirates, the Bradenton Explorers, the Orlando Juice, which was managed by Gates Brown, the Winter Haven Super Sox, in the Southern Division were the West Palm Beach Tropics, the Fort Myers Sun Sox, the Gold Coast Suns, and the St. Louis Legends. And I think it's important that our audience understand the history, okay, of, some of the things that were going on in the 80s, because history has a tendency to repeat itself. And I'm just going to go through some of the names very quickly that I think people will really know right away. Dick Williams was the manager of the West Palm Beach Tropics. Remember him, Lewis?
Of
Or
course.
are you too young to remember Dick
No.
Williams?
Dick Williams was the manager of the 67 Red Sox, the impossible dream team with Yastrzemski's Triple Crown year. He was also the manager of the 84 Padres, and I believed he managed one of those A's teams in the early 70s, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, sure did.
Yes, sir. Isn't he awesome? He's like a UNIVAC.
I know.
A good friend of mine, Pat Dobson, was the manager of the Fort Myers Sun Sox. I happened to meet Pat down in Fort Lauderdale when he was pitching for the New York Yankees, and I happened to meet George Steinbrenner and a bunch of the guys on the Yankees at Christopher's in Fort Lauderdale.
Right.
How about Earl Weaver? Remember Earl Weaver?
Yeah, of course I know Earl Weaver. I mean,
Orioles, yes.
yeah.
He was the manager of the Gold Coast Suns. Okay. How about Greg Nettles?
Greg Nettles.
was the manager of the St. Lucie Legends.
One of the most overlooked third
then
basemen ever.
Yeah. Then there was I remember him with the Super Bowls. Remember him? His bat broke when he was at Yankee Stadium and the Super Balls went all over the field. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
A little pop in his bat. How about Bobby Toland? He's the St. Petersburg Pelicans were league champions, but they started out with Doc Ellis, and I'll tell you how I got involved in this league in a minute. But Bobby Toland went on to be the manager, but Doc started it. And he was the one who plucked me out of a tryout camp and signed me, and that's how I got into the league. Remember Clete Boyer?
Of course I did. Played for the
Boyer
Indians.
was the manager of the Bradenton Explorers. Okay. And then we had Gates Brown. All right, the manager of the Orlando Juice, like I said before. And finally, the Spaceman. Now, this is a quiz, Lewis. Who is the Spaceman?
Bill Lee
He
pitched
played
from
for the Boston Red Sox.
Bill Lee from 69 to 82, I believe, and he was an All-Star in 73, 17-game winner.
Bill, you don't realize what you're dealing with this kid here.
I've actually met Bill Lee about 4 or 5 times because down in Fort Lauderdale, where I'm sure they played most of those games, Joe DiMaggio's Children's Hospital used to do the Legends games. I got a chance there to meet the likes of like Brooks Robinson. I met Bill Lee. I met Felix Rodriguez, who was on the 79 Pirates. So I had a chance to meet a lot of those guys growing up. But yeah, Bill Lee, definitely a colorful character. I'm sure you got plenty of stories about that.
All right, you had a question you wanted to answer earlier, so what was
Not
it?
a question. I was gonna say something that when he was talking about Curt Flood. I mean, I was gonna mention Marvin Miller. You know what? I think it is a good first step in the candidacy for Curt Flood because a lot of people forget how good a player Curt Flood was. He won 6 Gold Gloves in the 1960s, and he was a .290 hitter for the duration of his career. And just because, and we have to understand, he also debuted, I believe it was either in 58 or 59. So he was like, this is after Willie Mays and Hank Aaron kind of established themselves. Artie Banks, who had just won back-to-back MVPs, kind of established themselves as like premier stars in the Major League, so that Negro League players could do it. But Curt Flood came up. There's a story that he told once where Curt Flood literally had his clothes thrown on the locker room floor in the shower, and he had to stand there stark naked to get all of his clothes back. So just a bunch of the crap that he had to put up with, and then to have the career he did, and then to challenge, the reserve clause that had been a thing in baseball since the 1890s. He's a figure that gets forgotten about a lot, but, when he's mentioned, it's like you know exactly who he is.
People who are well-read in sports look at this guy as a hero.
Mm-hmm.
And he deserves to be in the hall, and hopefully the system is caught up enough where he'll get his just dues. I'll tell you a quick story. I was laying in bed and I was reading the St. Petersburg Times, and they had an open tryout for the Senior Professional Baseball League down at Al Lang Field in St. Petersburg. So here I am, 6'5", 285, in the best shape of my life because I had a year to get ready because the USFL was trying to go to the fall, so we didn't play in the spring. So I had an extra 6 or 7 months to heal and really, got really good at my craft. And so I decided, well, what the heck? I'm not doing anything. I got to start, going into the real world. Let me go down and see what I can do. So I went down to Al Lang Field, and there were a few thousand people there. And I can remember they had a TV crew, and they were giving all this attention to this girl who was trying to, try out. So they had TV cameras all over the place. We signed an injury waiver. We got on the field, and what they did is they broke us into groups. And the first thing they did is I was in a group where we got 3 swings of the bat, and the last hit they timed us running from home plate to first base. I got 3 frozen ropes over the shortstop. It was just like batting practice. They weren't throwing gas or anything like that. Just want to see if you could hit. Then I went over and went in the outfield and hit a couple of balls to me out in the outfield, threw the ball in. And then they asked if you pitched, and I said, yeah, and I went over to the sidelines, and I threw 100 pitches. I remember I was in the low 90s. It was throwing gas, but I didn't have to throw any other pitches, but the ball was tailing, so I was throwing some pretty good heat. And I threw, 100 pitches, and I remember the guy telling me, Bill, you got 80 strikes and, about 20 balls during while he was charting me, and then I barfed because it was so hot. And I had a guy come up to me and wanted to sign me to a minor league contract. And, there was just a ton of people there. So the next thing I know, Gates Brown comes up to me and pulls me aside and says, we'd like to sign you. And my jaw dropped. And I said, yeah? And he goes, yeah. He says, and then the TV crew came over and interviewed me. And I was on television that night. And they asked me, I said, what are you doing here? And I said, well, I just retired as a professional athlete, and where else in America can a washed-up football player get a chance to play Major League Baseball? And I said, guys pay a lot of money. And back then the Phillies had this program where executives could pay some money and go to training camp and spring training with the Phillies. And I remember reading about it, and I said, yeah. I said, some guys pay a large fee to go to spring training, and here I'm getting an opportunity to get paid and go to spring training and possibly make a ball club. Where else in America can somebody do something like this? Then the guy said to me, do you think you can make the team? And I said, well, realistically, I play in a sport where the more you can do, I can catch, play first base, play outfield, do a little pitching, play a little infield. So who the heck knows, but I'm going to give it a best try. So I go in, that was a great interview. I loved it. And the next thing I know, they suspended, the tryouts were all over. And I go into the office in St. Petersburg, and Doc Ellis is sitting there, and I'm in awe of this guy because I remember him pitching for the Pittsburgh Pirates. We are family, and they won the World Series. And Doc signs me to a contract, and I looked, and it was really good money. I was getting paid $4,000 a month. And, that's $1,000 a week, and that's pretty good money back then. The top pay was $15,000. And he says, I think, you have a shot at playing in this league. And he said, there's one spot at every roster for one guy with no major league experience, and the fact that you're 32 years old, we can get you in on the roster as a catcher. Because there was one roster spot on each team for a guy with no major league experience, and if you're a catcher, I think they would carry 2 catchers on a roster. They could carry 2 32-year-old guys on a roster. So next thing I know is I sign the contract, and I go home, and I'm ecstatic. The next day, I get a phone call from Doc. And he says, Bill, he says, how you doing? He says, we've traded you. And I went, what? And he goes, we've traded you to the Orlando Juice. And he says, here's the phone number, and I need you to call Gates Brown, the manager. So I call Gates, and Gates says, we're having training, spring training. This is when you need to show up, yada, yada, yada. So I get in my car, and I drive to Orlando, and I go to Tinker Field. And I get there, and I walk in the locker room. Here's all these major league players that I grew up watching. Tom Paciorek, Ken Reitz, Sixto Lezcano. I'll go through the roster in a minute, but these were all household names. And I was like, and I had my Tampa Bay Bandits jacket on. And they go, who are you? And I said, well, I'm here to try